Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. Welcome back to my channel. I'm breaking out of my shell once again today. I was just starting this morning with a short run and some brief meditation, and I was thinking about my journey um, to get out of debt, become financially stable. And as you know, if you've been checking out my other videos, I'm following or using the Dave Ramsey method, using the baby steps. And I was thinking at the same time as I'm trying to become financially healthy, I need to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. So I try to do at least 3 times a week, get out here and run at least about 2 miles or jog 2 miles. But I wanted to come on today uh, because I wanted to really share some encouragement for my community. And my, you've seen my videos talk about how the black community can benefit from programs like Dave Ramsey, despite what some people may think or say, regardless of whether you're in a poor circumstance financially, or maybe you are working, you have a job, you're making good money, but you're living above your means, you're not ready for retirement, and that's why you're still in that job at 65, 70, 75, because you hadn't prepared yourself. I grew up poor. I grew up on welfare. My mother, she raised 4 kids. I was in a decent community. I didn't live in what they considered to be the ghetto. Yeah, it was Detroit. Detroit was a predominantly, or I guess it's still a predominantly black community. But there were working class people around me. People back then, families were working in factories, police departments, banks, etc., etc. But my mother, even though we were in that community, we were all one of the families in the community that was on welfare. So I didn't have a lot of knowledge dealing with finance. I didn't know anything about budgeting. I didn't know anything about saving. I just knew you need to be able to pay your bills. I did decide early on that welfare wasn't something that I wanted to continuously rely on, although I did utilize it from time to time when I had my children growing up. But I didn't have any financial knowledge. I didn't have a way to get out. I didn't have the know-how to get out. I'm not going to say I didn't have a way. I just didn't have the know-how to use finances, to use credit, to save money, to prepare for the future. When you grow up in that environment, what you really become conditioned to do is to learn how to survive. And so that was my mode. I was learning how to survive each week, to make sure the lights stayed on, the gas stayed on, the roof remained over our head, that they didn't come and repossess my car, although they did. Although I went through a couple of those too. But I've been in survival mode my entire adult life. And here I am, I'm 56, I'll be 57 shortly. And I'm still in survival mode. And so when I was thinking about that, my children are grown. They're on their own, doing their own thing. And why am I still in survival mode? Because that's all I know. go to work and pay a bill, go to work and pay a bill, and keep a roof over my head, and be able to feed myself and clothe myself, and make sure they don't come and repo my car. So I've been that way for my whole adult life, but I wanted to make a change. I need to get out of survival mode, and I need to have peace, financial peace, spiritual peace, mental peace. And so I wanted to come on this morning really to talk to those people in my community who feel like they're in a place, they're growing up in an area or a neighborhood or a circumstance that they think is out of their control because they weren't given or equipped or supplied with the knowledge to make better choices, to get out of survival mode. And that you can change your mindset no matter where you are in life, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It's all about changing your mindset and getting out of that survival mode. I grew up in Detroit, and I'll give you an example because I grew up in Detroit, and I always thought Detroit, that's my home. That's where I've been planted. That's where I was born. 313 for life. I'm never leaving Detroit. I'm never going to change my surroundings because this is where I was born. I don't know anything else. But then I turned 52, and something inside me said there's other cities, states, countries, places out there. Just because I was rooted in one place don't mean I can't uproot myself and plant myself somewhere else, And so at 52, I decided I wanted to be in South Carolina. I wanted to be near the beach. And that's what I did. And so I'm using the same experience or the same method when it comes to financial peace. I wasn't rooted. I was rooted in poverty, welfare. I grew up on that. The struggle game, the survival game, been through that. But I don't have to stay there. I can change my circumstances if I decide that just because that's where I learned or didn't learn, that I don't have to stay. So here I am, rebuilding, replanning, growing, learning new things at 56. And that's my goal. So I want to inspire you today, nothing else. Look into what you can do to change your circumstance. You don't have to be rich to get started. You just have to get started with what you have. Seeds that are planted in the ground. They're planted small, but they grow into beautiful trees, beautiful flowers, lots of vegetation. I'm in a kind of a small town. There's a lot of farms around. There's a lot of planting and growing. And you see them out there, they're planting their seeds. And they're waiting for the harvest to grow. And so start small. If you're in a community where there's a lack of knowledge, find that knowledge. The knowledge is out there. It's at your fingertips. That's how I found Dave Ramsey. I didn't walk into a school. I didn't pick up a book. I didn't do any of that. I said, somebody's out there talking about how you can become debt-free, how you can set up a budget, how you can live below your means, and pay off your debt. Somebody's got to have that knowledge. So I would just encourage you, if you're in that situation, I am a big supporter, a big believer in his program, the baby steps. I started baby step number 1. I'm in the process of putting together my $1,000 emergency fund in savings. I don't think I've ever had a savings. Well, I've had a savings, but that savings wasn't really a savings. It wasn't something that I was planning to keep for the future. I would put it in the savings account, but when I needed it, I'd go back and take it because I didn't have a budget. I didn't have a plan. Get yourself a plan. So that's my message for you today. I hope this helps you. Follow Dave Ramsey. Listen to his program. He's got podcasts. He's got YouTube videos. He's got courses you can take. But you can do this for free. You can take that knowledge for free. All right, y'all. Have a good day.